Now we'll take a look at using ActionScript to stop an animation. If you're following along, I'm working in O2_stopping_animation in the Chapter 13 folder in the Exercise Files folder. In this file, there's a very simple animation on the stage. If you scrub the playhead, you can see a bitmap graphic animating in. If this animation looks somewhat familiar to you, that's because we worked on a similar animation in the chapter where we learned about bitmaps. So an animation like this would work for a slideshow. Let's test the movie and see what it looks like though. Command Return on the Mac, Control Enter on the PC. The graphic fades in and it endlessly loops. Let's close this window. Now in a slideshow, a lot of times a graphic will fade in and then you'll want the user to have the control to look at that graphic as long as they want. In that case, it's good to have the power to be able to stop the playback of an animation. To do this, let's create a new layer. Click the Insert Layer button at the bottom of the timeline to create a new layer. Change the name of the new layer to Actions. Now whenever you're working with ActionScript, you should always have a layer called Actions or A or whatever you want to call it, but you should always have a layer to hold your ActionScript. You can name it Actions or just A, whatever you'd like to call it, but I recommend being consistent so you always know where your ActionScript is. It's also good to have that ActionScript layer all the way at the top. The reason for that is Flash movies load by default from the bottom layer to the top layer. Having your ActionScript at the top layer will make sure that any code working with object on the stage will apply to objects that have already been loaded. That'll make a little bit more sense when we start applying ActionScript to buttons. But for now, just know to store your actions in the top layer and give your actions layer a consistent name. In this example, we want the playhead to stop once the animation reaches frame 10. To do that, we need to put ActionScript on frame 10 to tell Flash to stop playing the movie. ActionScript must be held in a keyframe. It's a best practice not to put any art in your actions layer. So let's lock the actions layer right now, select frame 10 in the actions layer, and then press F7 on the keyboard to create a blank keyframe. Now to apply ActionScript, you need to first select the keyframe where you'd like to place the code, and then you need to open the Actions panel. You can access the Actions panel by choosing Window, Actions. Notice on the Mac the keyboard shortcut is Option F9. On the PC, the keyboard shortcut to open the Actions panel is just F9. So let's open the Actions panel. And in the Actions panel are a bunch of windows. The windows in the Actions panel are there to help you write ActionScript code. But first you have to know a little bit about the language in order to use those tools. Since all we need to do is stop the movie, we can hide these panels now. I'm going to resize the Actions panel so it's easier to see. If you hover your mouse over the top edge of the Actions panel, you can click and drag to resize the Actions panel. That'll place the Actions panel in the middle of the screen. Now we can hide the windows on the left side of the Actions panel. To do that, there's a very small button on the divider between the left and right sides of the Actions panel. The button has an arrow pointing to the left. If you click that button, the windows will minimize. Now there's another button on the right side of the Actions panel, and that button is called Script Assist. And that turns on a mode called Script Assist, which helps you write ActionScript. Again, in order to use Script Assist, you already need to know a little bit about the ActionScript language. So let's turn off Script Assist by clicking the Script Assist button. Now if your Actions panel looked like this when you opened it, and the Script Assist button was not selected already, then you wouldn't need to click the Script Assist button. Inside of the Actions panel, the area where the flashing cursor is the area where you write ActionScript code. Now here, we're not going to go into tons of detail about how ActionScript code works and what exactly is happening with every single character of the code. There are other titles to help you do that. For example, there's the ActionScript 3.0 Essential Training title, ActionScript 3.0 Beyond the Basics title. Those titles go into ActionScript in great detail. Here, I'm just going to show you what to type to add simple functionality to your Flash movies. So to stop the movie, simply type stop, all lowercase. Notice the word turns blue when you type it, indicating that you've typed the ActionScript code correctly. Then type opened and closed parentheses. After that, type a semicolon. Now let's briefly talk about this code. Stop and open and close parentheses is a built-in ActionScript function or built-in action that does something. It stops the movie from playing. Wherever this code is, or whatever frame this code is on, the movie will stop playing at that frame. Semicolons in ActionScript end a statement, sort of like a period in a sentence. I'm just giving this information so you can become somewhat familiar with ActionScript and hopefully a little comfortable with writing at least this code. I want you to think of learning ActionScript in this chapter like traveling to a foreign country. You may not need to know the entire language in order to get around, but there are a few essentials. The stop action is one of the essentials. So it's not that important that you understand everything about the stop action, but it is important that you can write it, or at least you can copy and paste it. So there's the code that stops the movie from playing. Let's close the Actions panel now by clicking the X in the top right of the Actions panel. Now, notice on the main timeline, there's a lowercase a above the blank keyframe we created in frame 10. That indicates that there is ActionScript on that frame. Let's test the movie and watch the ActionScript in action. Command Return on the Mac, Control Enter on the PC. The graphic fades in and then stops at frame 10. Let's close this window. And there's a look at how to use ActionScript to stop an animation.